The PlayStation 4 generation of consoles was extremely successful. Its numbers were only overshadowed by one other platform, Sony's own PlayStation 2. Now a new generation of consoles has arrived and Sony's striving to outperform the PlayStation 4 with the PlayStation 5. 6 months in, with the PS5 still heavily limited by manufacturing limitations, Sony has proven successful. Not only has the PS5 outsold the PS4 over the same time period, but it expects to continue outpacing the previous generation over the coming year. According to reporting from VGC, the PS5 has now shipped 7.8 million consoles through March 31st. Over the same time period, the PS4 shipped 7.6 million consoles. That's a slight difference, but the PS5 still comes ahead by just 200,000 consoles, or just under 3% more. It may not be a particularly striking number, but just the idea that the PS5 is already outperforming the PS4 given what's now known about the PS4's long-term success is worth acknowledging. Further, in a quarterly earnings call from Sony Wednesday morning, CFO Hiroki Totoki has even more good news to share. Totoki explains that Sony is currently planning to outpace the PS4's second-year numbers as well. That number for the PS4's second fiscal year is 14.8 million consoles, to give an idea of just how big of a task Sony has before it. Totoki does also rein in expectations somewhat as well. Totoki says that while it believes Sony could sell more PS5s than PS4s in the console's second year, it may not be able to. Totoki specifically mentions the ongoing global shortage of semiconductors, a key component of PS5 manufacturing that is preventing Sony from increasing its output capacity. While Sony is doing its best to get the components it needs to match the PS4's 14.8 million, Totoki does not go so far as guaranteeing it. Regardless of whether Sony is able to meet its goal of overtaking the PS4 through the PS5's second year, the way Sony is talking about the situation is especially intriguing. Sony's talking as if it had the means of producing more PS5s, that outselling the PS4 wouldn't even be a question. The nonchalance with which Sony is saying the PS5 is on the path to being one of its most successful consoles ever is striking. With also Fortnite sold more than half of its whole game's sales on the PlayStation 4. The reality of the situation, however, is that the PS5 is very much limited by production. There are millions of people across the world who want a PS5, but are unable due to none being on store shelves. Further, the unsaid message is that this limited availability could last another year. Total sales don't mean much to someone who still can't get their PS5. The report also confirms that PlayStation Plus has had a very good run in the last couple of months compared to last year, and is now at an all-time high in subscriber numbers. PlayStation Plus is having one of the best performance runs of its existence over the last few months. The service's subscriber count is not only doing well when compared to year-over-year numbers, but PlayStation Plus also hit a record high in subscribers. The numbers come amid what has also been a period of high praise from consumers for the service. Part of that praise has been the quality of games released on PS Plus, especially since the PlayStation 5 launched. The service has long offered 2 games a month for no additional charge to subscribers, but Sony has added a third, exclusively PS5 title to the listings. As good as the numbers are for Sony when comparing year to year, they have continued to climb ever since the official fiscal year report was released. According to the report, PlayStation Plus had 47.6 million subscribers at the end of the 2020 fiscal year. That number is an increase of 6.1 million subscribers compared to the end of the 2019 fiscal year. The increase from 41.5 million subscribers is officially a record high for PS Plus, but it has since added to that total. The last count was released in February, and there have been 200,000 subscriptions added in the subsequent months. The interest in PS Plus has likely seen an uptick, at least in part because PS5 users, who had the service, immediately received several free games via the PS Plus collection. That particular offering worked as both an incentive to subscribe to the service for new PS5 owners, but also an incentive to purchase a PlayStation 5 for current subscribers. The record-high subscriber numbers come alongside what has been an increasing backlash against Xbox games with Gold due to what users have said were unpopular games. Some in the community have dismissed the lesser offerings on games with gold because Microsoft has seemingly turned its attention to Xbox Game Pass, especially over the last year. In that time, the PlayStation Plus competitor added the entire EA Play catalog and a number of Bethesda's most popular games. In 2021, Game Pass added both Outriders and MLB The Show 21, a former PlayStation exclusive title, on launch day. However, Xbox Game Pass has 23 million subs, and PS Plus has more than double of it. Although they are different services, I would be fair to compare them in terms of overall possession of the fans in the ecosystems. To this day, the PS2 remains the highest-selling video game console of all time, but what many Sony fans might not know is that the PS2 also held the record for most games sold on any console, understandably, considering the high volume of beloved titles released on the PS2 during its commercial run. Now, the PS4 has dethroned that record with its game sales numbers. Sony announced its consolidated financial results today, showing that the PS4 had sold over 1.577 billion copies of games all around the world, beating out the PS2's previous record of 1.537 billion. In terms of digital sales, it was estimated that during the fiscal year of 2020, 601,000 games were sold on the PlayStation Store every day, which is amazing to think about. 65% of the total game sales were digital, which is a 12% increase from the year before. In total, 220 million games were downloaded out of the 338.9 million games that were sold. Obviously, the COVID-19 pandemic is likely responsible for the high increase of games purchased digitally, but also, other PlayStation services may have attributed to the massive increase in digital sales as well. PlayStation Plus offers users free downloadable games every month just for subscribing to the service. Not to mention the more recent Play at Home initiative, which gives any PlayStation users certain games for free. Given the ease of convenience and given how much game selection there is on the PlayStation Store, it makes sense as to why so many users opt to purchase games digitally nowadays. However, Sony has certainly taken notice of this trend and wishes to capitalize on it. There are a lot of factors that likely contributed to such impressive financial success in 2020, the most obvious being the COVID-19 pandemic. With a significant percentage of the world population quarantining at home for several months, video games became a desired way to pass the time. Although, many PS4 owners would argue that the console's game library alone can be attributed to the success of its game sales. The PS4 has an impressive library of exclusive games for players to choose from. Within the last several years, a bunch of anticipated titles released on PS4 and were met with great success. Games like God of War, 2018, Horizon Zero Dawn, and Marvel's Spider-Man are all popular games that can be also enjoyed on the PS5. For a lot of gaming enthusiasts, console exclusivity is important when it comes to choosing between systems. It also produced a gaming revenue of $24.4 billion in the last year. In any case, it will be interesting to see what the future holds for the PS4. While the PS5 has seen success within the last few months, and will likely overshadow the PS4 in time, Sony has assured its players that it will continue to support the PS4 going into this newest console generation. The 1.577 billion PlayStation 4 games sold within the last several years could also be an important incentive in terms of its continued support. The fact that a digital-only version of the PS5 even exists clearly indicates the rise in popularity of purchasing games digitally. Though, for how popular digital games have become on PlayStation platforms, it did seem rather odd when Sony made the surprising announcement that it would be shutting down the PS stores for the PS3, PS Vita, and PSP, only to go back on the announcement a few weeks later. It's possible that Sony noticed the rise in digitally purchased games on the PS4, one of its most successful platforms currently in circulation, and opted to keep the PS3 and PS Vita stores open. In any case, it will be interesting to see how the purchase of digital games continue to influence PlayStation's current market. Physical game releases could be phased out altogether as a result, but that would certainly take a long time to occur, if it ever does. You guys would wonder what all these numbers mean, and why it is important for us to discuss it. It is a topic of discussion because the numbers are matter in most of the times, the numbers that create records and gives more revenue will lead Sony into making more new IP. With more freedom, taking the risks, making sequels and remakes of retro games, and also in acquisitions. Sony is in talks with Bluepoint Games and Square Enix, so anything can be happening soon. Speaking of numbers, we also have numbers on Xbox as well. A recent financial report from Microsoft shows this in action, as it is revealed that Microsoft made $3.5 billion in Q1 2021. There are a number of reasons why Microsoft is doing so well this year, but it may surprise fans to hear that it isn't all thanks to the recent release of the Xbox Series X. That is definitely a major part of the accomplishment, but several other factors also come into play and make this impressive sales record possible. This would be the best Q1, FY Q3 for Microsoft's gaming division since they started breaking out numbers about 6 years ago. From the report, the most of the growth from hardware sales can be attributed to the release of the Xbox Series X, but strong game sales and services are a huge part of the achievement. Ahmad takes extra care to point out that Game Pass is growing at an incredible rate and bringing in a lot of money for Microsoft's gaming division. Another interesting factoid to come from this report is that content and services still make up 80% of the total revenue for Xbox despite the next-generation consoles launching in November. It's entirely possible that console sales would be even higher if the supply was able to meet the demand, but that is just speculation. All in all, this represents an incredibly successful start to 2021 for Microsoft, and it seems highly likely that this success will continue on throughout the rest of the year as Game Pass continues growing and more players get their hands on an Xbox Series X. In the comments to Ahmad's tweet, many players are curious about whether or not this includes numbers from Microsoft's acquisition of Bethesda, ZeniMax. Since that acquisition wasn't finalized until recently, it wouldn't show up in the data for the first quarter. Instead, players might expect to see some changes in the next quarter's report. Still, it will be tough for Microsoft to top this impressive report. Moving forward from the numbers, we have an official news from Sony. Sony reiterates its plans to heavily invest in its own studios, as well as form more partnerships to make new exclusives for the PlayStation 5. It's been no secret that Sony is pumping all the money it can into supporting the PlayStation 5. Earlier this year, a report revealed that the company had spent $329 million on third-party deals alone throughout the fiscal year, and it certainly hasn't been neglecting its first-party studios either. So it's no surprise to hear the company say that it intends to continue doing exactly that for the foreseeable future. During a conference call with investors, as transcribed by VGC, Sony's chief financial officer Hiroki Totoki stated that the company, in order to enhance its software offerings, it will be aggressively investing in both its internal studios and third-party partnerships with other studios. Totoki even provides some numbers, saying that development personnel and other in-house costs will be increased by roughly 20 billion yen, which is about $183 million. While no future partnerships were revealed during the call, he did mention some of the deals already made, such as with Jade Raymond's new studio Haven, and its $200 million investment in Fortnite studio Epic Games. Basically, PS5 owners can expect to see even more third-party titles that will release exclusively on Sony's platform. It's always been apparent that Sony is using exclusives to drive up sales of the PlayStation 5. So far, these include titles like the Demon's Souls remake and upcoming releases like Returnal, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and Horizon Forbidden West. This is the direct opposite of Microsoft's strategy with the Xbox Series X/S. While Microsoft's console lacks any real exclusives, it has found considerable success with its Game Pass service, which offers a massive range of first- and third-party games available not only on the Xbox Series X, but Xbox One as well. Another official news from Sony is that the trial of its PS Plus Video Pass streaming service was launched with a Polish advertisement that offers a peek at what will be available. Sony has launched PS Plus Video Pass, an on-demand video streaming service that is included with PS Plus, but it is only available in Poland. The company said that the service is in its testing phase, and will later decide whether to make it available for subscribers around the world. Details about the PS Plus Video Pass surfaced on April 21, when a logo for the streaming service was published on Sony's website with a description on the company's Polish website. The next day, Sony Interactive Entertainment's Global Services VP Nick Maguire spoke about the service in an interview with Polish website Spiders Web. In the interview, Maguire confirmed that the streaming service would be available to PS4 and PS5 owners with a PS Plus subscription at no additional cost. Maguire also revealed that the service would only be available in Poland until Sony collects enough usage data to determine whether to launch the app worldwide. However, he added that there is possibility that the streaming service may never receive a wide release. PS Plus Video Pass is launching with 15 movies and 6 TV shows, including movies such as Venom, Jumanji, and Zombieland Double Tap. More movies and shows will be added to the service every 3 months, until its trial phase ends. The launch was accompanied by a Polish trailer that released today. According to Maguire, Sony chose to test the service in Poland based on specific data. Sony plans to use the trial phase to track which movies and shows are watched the most, as well as how often subscribers use the PS Plus streaming service. The data collected will determine whether Sony will give PS Plus Video Pass a wide release. PS Plus Video Pass is likely part of Sony's strategy to compete with Xbox Game Pass. Sony has had a difficult time keeping up with Microsoft's successful Game Pass service, which offers subscribers access to a large library of games, ranging from new releases to Xbox classics. But Microsoft does not have access to a vast catalog of movies and TV shows like Sony. Sony also owns anime companies Funimation and Crunchyroll, and may add shows from those studios to its Video Pass service. This means that PS Plus Video Pass could give Sony a much-needed edge over Xbox Game Pass. It seems that PS Plus has also stepped its game offerings in the last few months. Recent additions have included Final Fantasy VII Remake and multiple Call of Duty titles, as many fans have voiced that would like to see Sony expand the PS Plus library. The PlayStation Plus games for May 2021 have also been announced, and it looks like it's going to be a big month for the subscription service. Interestingly, the announcement confirms prior leaks about which games will be added. Next month is packed with new releases, but those looking to keep some money in their wallets may find something to enjoy with the PS Plus games for May 2021. Battlefield 5 is the most notable addition to the lineup, with the shooter being made free for everyone that subscribes to the service. Rumors have claimed that Battlefield 6 will be revealed in May, so Battlefield 5 coming to PlayStation Plus may be a way to stir up more of a conversation around the franchise. The shooter was the subject of controversy when it launched, though it has seen a bounty of updates in the time since. Those lucky enough to have a PlayStation 5 will be getting their hands on Wreckfest, Drive Hard, Die Fast. The game is described as a full-contact racing title, similar to what one would expect out of a demolition derby. The game features vehicles like crop harvesters on top of the standard racing fare, which should add some spice to whatever players are doing. Plus, there are some challenge modes for players to check out, as well as 24-player modes. Rounding out the list is Stranded Deep, a survival game that sees players try to last on a deserted island. The setup is similar to what fans got in The Forest, as the protagonist is a survivor of a plane crash, though the challenges they face will be a bit more grounded in reality. It's not the biggest game being featured this month, though it has carved out an impressive space for itself in the survival game genre. These games might not come as much of a surprise to some fans, however, as May 2021's PS Plus games were leaked just a few days ago. It isn't the first time that this has happened, with April 2021's PS Plus games also being revealed early by an unofficial source. It's possible that the streak will continue for June, but it's hard to say. Regardless, AAA games on PS Plus typically elicit a positive reaction from fans. The games are only available to add to one's library until May 31st, so subscribers will need to act relatively quickly. At any rate, free games are always a nice perk. And that's all for the video, guys. Like and share the video for a bigger audience. comment your thoughts on the discussed topics, and if you want to contribute to the channel by means of donation, the link to my PayPal is in the video's description. You can send me donations which will help me to make more contents consistently and new things such as gameplay, podcasts and live streaming. Subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon, and until then from SMPV it's goodbye.